Welcome to the Breaking Into Athletic Performance podcast. This is your host, Ryan Smack. For those of you who have listened to the first couple episodes we've put out so far, you'll notice that Christian usually introduces us, but he unfortunately could not be on the call today, so you guys are stuck with me. But the good news is we actually have two guests today to join me, so I think we'll get a lot out of having this conversation with them. They're both head strength coaches, relatively new to the job. By that, I mean under 3 years, so it's still kind of a new work in progress. So I'm going to let them introduce themselves right now. Joe, go ahead.
Hey guys, my name's Joe Alexander. I'm the director of strength conditioning at Lycoming College in Williamsport, PA. Oversee all training for all of our athletic teams. I've been in the job for, since last early August 2019.
Javi, go ahead.
Javier Ramirez. I am the head strength coach at Franklin Pierce University, a small D2 school in Rindge, New Hampshire. I oversee all the training for our 24 teams, and I have less than a year on the job, so I got here in October, mid-semester. Haven't been able to finish a semester yet, so I'm hoping that we can do that this month. Yeah.
Nice. So obviously, you guys are at smaller schools. So the first question that I'm having, you both have had experience at, if I'm remembering correctly, at Power 5 schools as well as like mid-major Division I schools before your current spots. So if you could just kind of tell us a little bit about the differences you see between maybe like a mid-major or a big D1 versus where you're at currently, and just kind of compare and contrast the experiences you've had at the two.
Yeah, cool. I'll go first. The big differences, obviously, as you can tell, are just from a resources standpoint, whether that's staffing, or room and facilities. For us, we share the room with our rec. All right. So we don't have our own athletics varsity weight room. But for us, that's the big thing there. A lot of our sports coaches also for some of our sports are part-time. So that's a big difference for us at our level too. But, obviously from a training standpoint, the NCAA rules are different with Division III rules compared to Division I rules. And, also, from a dining hall standpoint and our experience from a nutrition standpoint compared to the mid-major and the Power 5 are obviously different. We don't have a nutritionist on staff. A lot of it is us educating our kids as well. But for us, those are kind of the big hitters on our end.
Yeah, I mean, same thing. It's just the resources. I am lucky enough to have we do have a varsity weight room. So that is pretty, I know I'm blessed with that. It's about 5,000 square feet too. It's a solid weight room. But it's mainly the resources, the amount of coaches. It's just me and my GA for 500 plus athletes. So there's a little bit of a struggle there. There are a lot of stuff that we can't get to as far as, like conditioning or, I would like to be at practice more often. But sometimes we just got to be able to, give the conditioning plan to the coaches and hopefully they'll run it the way that we want them to run it. But, who knows? But it's mainly the resources, but I still think we can give them, the D1 experience, the D1 level coaching. We don't have, like he said, the nutrition and all that stuff, but we can still, provide them with the education and all that stuff. And we can still train our asses off like we're D1 too.
Absolutely. Agreed 100% with that, and for us, I mean, the unique thing about our situation and the great thing at LICO is we have great sports coaches, that are willing to work and willing to adapt and make sure that we're, working together to create the best experience for our kids from a training experience and to make sure that we're carrying over those, lessons that they're learning in sport and with us in the weight room, for, post-college and for their life after. So, like Javi said, like, we're trying to go after that mold as well. Make it big time where we're at, and making sure that we're giving the kids a good experience.
But I think if I can add, I think that is an important, very important thing that you said there is the sport coaches.
Hmm.
Because where I'm at now, there's been a lot of turnover with the strength coaches, so they're at a point to where they're getting frustrated. So they kind of just they're getting used to doing things on their own now.
Hmm.
Now and then when I came in here, I was like, hey, I think we should do this for conditioning or that and this, and they were like, well, who knows how long you're going to be here, so we're just going to keep doing it our way. And I think it's important to kind of establish that relationship with them and let them know, like, hey man, like, this is where I'm at now. I think we should be doing this, and we don't know what the future holds, but this is what I think will be best for your athletes. So having sport coaches with you and having sport coaches, understanding, I think that's a clutch.
Yeah, and that's big. And I think at the end of the day, I mean, we all know this, right? Like, it all comes down to trust, right? And you build that trust early on, and you show them that you're able to work with them, all right, and not push, your own agenda so much from the get-go, but showing them like, hey, look, we can do this thing together and get results on the field, court, and in the water, right? And that's the biggest thing with especially with my position and my opportunity that I've had within this first year to do with everybody. And it's helped us out a lot.
Yeah.
So what are some ways that you guys have gone about trying to build those relationships with coaches and start to establish some sort of trust between yourself and the rest of the athletic staff when you guys got there? Because obviously you both are about a year on the job, so I'm sure that's still in process a little bit when we got shut down and everything. But yeah, what are some ways that you went about trying to build those relationships initially and kind of share your philosophies, but listen to their wants and needs for their own teams?
Go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, so one of the big things for me when I first got there was, hey, look, like, try to respect the process as much as possible. You can't go in there guns blazing right from the get-go, or else you'll lose a lot of people. So, the biggest thing for me was just, from a personal standpoint with head coaches and sports coaches, get to know them on a personal level, obviously. Hey, what led you into where you're at now? Hey, coach, I know you have a playing background. You played at this university. What was your experience like there? Just little starters like that from the get-go. That way you could get a feel for their background and who they are, right? So then from there, for me, I got a really good understanding of their core values and their standards for their teams. And then that allowed me as a strength coach to be able to plug and play some of the things that they're preaching to their kids for me early on when I first got the job. So for me, it was just necessarily getting to know and learn more about them as a person and their philosophy, and then mesh that into there. Obviously, the other things for me, just trying to get out to practices and games as much as possible. Last fall semester in 2019, it was only me. I didn't have any help. So it was hard to do that. But, even if it was like once a week, maybe trying to get out to practice or a game, it made a difference, not only to the coaches, but to the kids. But, for me, those are some things that, I utilized within my first year of, using to get sort of that buy-in and to work together with those guys.
Cool.
So I was laughing there a little bit because went totally the opposite way. I went guns blazing. I came in. This is what we're gonna do. What you're doing is stupid. Obviously, I didn't say that, but it was. And I tell you what, man, it was not good. It was not what you do. So there were a couple of sport coaches where I had to kind of repair that relationship with. And it really is like just exactly what Joe said. And you've got to understand, like, you're never going to 100% get it your way, and it's never going to be 100% what your plan is and all. Like, there's got to be a little bit of a give and take. And then you just got to know your coaches. Like, some coaches, they respect more the technical aspect of training. Some coaches are more on the cultural aspect of training. So, it really depends on, which coach you're talking to and, where they're going to kind of align with your values. I think that definitely is important. Don't come in guns blazing. Don't tell them, come in and say what you've been doing is all wrong, because that's not how you get that done. But yeah.
That's pretty funny. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I especially like what you said about how every coach and every team is going to kind of have a different priority when it comes to training, because obviously, like, every team has their own culture and almost a different personality just within that collective group of people. So I think it's important to be versatile and adaptable to be able to kind of mesh your own style with theirs, as opposed to, like you said, just going in guns blazing and, this is how I am, you need to adapt. Like,
Yeah.
you're the one coach or one of two coaches where you have 18 teams or something. They outnumber you, so you're the one who needs to kind of change to go along with them. So Joe, you said you did not have help last year. Has that changed, or are you still by yourself there?
Yeah. So, so for us, I'll kind of backtrack a little bit. We're a liberal arts school. We don't have exercise science. We don't have a master's program. All right. So what I've done is I've looked at other schools within our area, Lycoming University in particular. They have an exercise science and rec program, and they have a master's sports data program. And so I've reached out to them, kind of working out a deal as far as, hey, look, like, we're trying to run an internship program, and build coaches and grow coaches, for the future. That's one of our goals. And you guys have students, if they're interested, hey, I'll be more than happy to come and talk to them, and you guys can put, the information out there to get that started. And, that was about end of last fall. So going into the spring, we actually brought in a kid from Lycoming University, and he did a phenomenal job for us. He's at Robert Morris right now with Rob Day. But, he did a great job of growing. He was able to, get a lot of experience with live bullets flying, coaching early on and getting good experience. But, so for us, that's one of the, ways that we've worked around that to be able to add to our staff. So then, he did such a great job for us where our boss was able to see that. And he was, telling me, and we were talking, and this was right before COVID. He goes, hey, I want to give you an assistant. And he goes, we're going to work on those things. And I don't know what it looks like yet, but, now we've gotten to the point where we're gearing up for an assistant role. Just because he saw the value in somebody coming in and helping and how we were able to get things done. Right. So, we're looking at that for this semester, for some more help. I'm also in the talks with Lock Haven as far as starting up a graduate assistant program with their, master program kids. That way we can get, their kids get a master's education on that piece as far as getting a degree. They come over to us and get the practical experience there. We don't know the details yet with that. It's still early on. They're still just trying to figure out, what they're doing on campus right now with all the COVID stuff. So got to give that a little bit of time. But, for us, it's been great just to be able to showcase that. And I think, one of the biggest things, if you don't have help, get creative and find unique ways to get help. Right. Because us as coaches, and I thoroughly believe, like, for us as strength conditioning coaches, we have to be the most adaptable person. Right. Especially at our level, at the smaller schools, D2, D3, NAIA, where there's a lot of unknowns and a lot of uncontrollables. Okay. Well, what better way to kind of carry that over onto building a staff with, finding unique ways. Right. But, for us, that's what we've been doing. Hopefully we're able to grow a little bit more with some GAs, an assistant, and still keep the internship program going.
Yeah, that's awesome. And Javi, you said you have a GA, is that correct?
Yeah, I got one GA, and I inherited him, and he will be done in May. So
Okay.
I mean, and kind of like what Joe, like, but I came in mid-semester in October, didn't want to, start an internship program mid-semester. It
Mhm.
wouldn't have been done right. And then in the spring, again, I didn't really have like everything I wanted to establish that program. We do have a health science program here, so we're pretty lucky with that. And a lot of the students there, they'll go like well, at least they'll think they're going physical therapy. Maybe they're not really, it's a pretty hard
Mhm.
program to get into. Um, but this semester we just established the internship program. I've been getting in touch with the health science professors. I've been doing presentations on, hey, this is what we can offer. This is what we're doing. This is kind of how we run our program. So we're kind of, in coordination with the health science program. We now have an internship program, which I have 7 interns now. Um, so it's a pretty good deal to have that many interns, and then got my GA, and then when all this COVID stuff started happening, the seasons got canceled. I'm blessed. Our athletic administrator, she sees the value in strength and conditioning. She wants to help us out a lot, so she ended up getting us some money so we can hire a part-time assistant. So, and then hopefully we can kind of turn that into a full-time assistant. But I think again, it just kind of, if you keep providing value and they see that value, they'll kind of help you out a little bit.
Mhm. So you both are looking to hopefully hire someone in the near future for either like a GA or a part-time assistant or something like that. So what are some things that are important check marks, I guess, for you guys when you look at potential hires that will join your program in a capacity that's more than just like a volunteer intern?
Yeah. So for me, I mean, the biggest thing is number one, I'm going to be spending a lot of time with you. I better get along with you, and from a character standpoint, you better have, high standards, and we have to speak the same language in that regards. We don't have to be the exact same person. I want to hire someone with different skill sets than me, so that they look at things differently than what I do, right? But like, from a experience standpoint, like for us and at our level, like, look, like we'll coach you up and we'll develop you, and we'll help you grow and give you a lot of opportunities to get better. I'm not worried about that. That's why the character piece for me is such a big deal, right? But obviously from a policy standpoint with our university, you have to have your certifications. A couple years or semesters experience of volunteering and interning is always good. But I mean, for me, the big thing is it's just from a character standpoint, can you connect with me on that level, and what skill sets do you bring to the table that are different than mine? That's what I look for.
Awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going through the hiring process right now, and like some of the resumes that I was getting, I mean, it's if you have one intern experience and you're sending me the resume, like, I'm sorry, but I'm not gonna, that can't really cut it, because you're gonna be dealing with, and this is just a situation that we're in, maybe 9, 10 teams on your own. Like, can you handle that kind of workload? Have you been exposed to those different amount of teams? Have you been, do you have football experience? We have a football program here. Um, if you only got one internship experience, if I need to go to football practice, can I trust you with the baseball team? Those are the kind of things that I'm looking for. Um, keep getting that internship experience. Do it in your undergraduate. And then also, there were some people that, I thought were awesome, but they weren't certified. I can't really pull that here. We need that certification. And then kind of like Joe said, like, if good character. And then for me, man, it's just, can you show up on time? And if you see a dumbbell out of place, can you turn the dumbbell? Like, those things, like, drives me crazy. I look across the room and the dumbbell is facing the wrong way. And if I have an assistant that's just sitting there and it's not driving him crazy, it's like, what are you doing? Like, do you not see that dumbbell? It's like, So like little things like that, it's like, are you a person that do you kind of walk past it, or do you kind of see it and then you fix it? I know everyone kind of says that, but it's like, when it's 4 a.m, and you're there, are you really doing that? So,
No doubt.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think stuff like that is even more important when you're at like a smaller school with no budget or a small budget. Because if you have a certain base level of equipment and you're not taking care of that and taking pride in it, then I think it's kind of hard to argue that you need more, like you deserve more because you don't even utilize what you have to the best possible capability, if that makes sense.
or if you don't take pride in it, or if you don't take care of it, the kids aren't either, and they're going to be
Yeah.
wearing the crap out of it.
Mm-hmm.
No doubt. And like for us too, like we share the room with rec, right? And I have a really good relationship with our rec staff. And if I hire someone, like Javi was saying, like, and they come in and they don't take care of those things, like eventually over time, that stuff's going to add up and build up, right? And that could tarnish a relationship with somebody on campus that you might need down the road, right? So all that stuff is extremely important.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Okay, switching directions a little bit. If I remember correctly, Joe, you were an assistant at Towson before you got your head job, right?
Yep. I was at
Bobby, you were a GA at Tusculum.
Hell yeah, it was.
Yeah, with Paul. Okay, so obviously, going from like an assistant or a GA into a head role when you're still young in your coaching career is like a big step. I would imagine. I haven't experienced it, but I'd imagine there's a lot of differences. So what are some experiences that you guys think helped shape you and prepare you to step into that head role? And what are some things that you were not exposed to and you were not expecting that kind of come with that new responsibility of like being the guy in charge?
Right. So for me, especially at Towson, I worked under Mike Chapman, who's a good friend and a great mentor to me, right? And we had a great staff there, and Justin Lima, who's also a great friend and mentor to me, Aaron Draghi, Amit Vora, Justin Hong. All of those guys that Mike brought in had a unique skill set, and they saw things differently than everybody else, right? And everybody in there was very, very intelligent. We could always throw ideas off the wall to each other, right? And we could see things differently, based off of somebody else's perspective, or they share an idea with you. Oh, I never thought it about that way. Maybe I could plug that in somewhere, within my programming or how I'm coaching up something, right? So I was very blessed to be on Mike's staff, where he created a fantastic staff of great people. And I was able to pull from every single one of those guys, each year I was there and as we were working through, right? I believe for me, it's led for me to get into this position now where you're asked to wear so many hats, see things differently, with working with so many people, right? And it's just you within this first year for me, right? Where I could take a lot of ideas and concepts that I learned from those guys and plug it into my situation. So, I mean, the biggest thing is like when you're looking at jobs, right, whether that's a GA or an entry-level assistant position, get a good look at the staff. If you're up for a few jobs, just get a good look at, who you're going to be working with, because that's a game changer. I mean, it was a game changer for me, no doubt.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
Yeah, so for me, so I didn't even, to be honest, I didn't even finish my GA at Tusculum before I got the call. I got the job less than a year after I graduated college. So for me, it was more so having the confidence to know that, hey, I got the job for a reason. I do know what I'm doing. So that for me, it was having that time in the military, it was kind of, I think that's where I kind of got my confidence to where I can say now, hey, I do know what I'm doing. I'm the head strength coach here. I think it's being able to hold your own, and when you're in a coaches meeting, when you're meeting with the athletic director, and then when you're standing in front of a group of people, having that confidence, knowing that, hey, I can hold it down here. I do know what I'm doing, and I got the job for a reason. Um, I think that's what kind of helped me out. And yeah, I don't really know. I think through internship experience is where you also build that confidence. I learned a little bit at Kennesaw State, the professionalism there, having the energy. Uh, at George Mason, I learned a little bit there too, kind of, have some fun with the athletes. It doesn't always have to be serious. At Maryland, just all of, how to coordinate everything that happens there, between nutrition, all the sports science stuff that we were doing, and then not to mention all the training, how to coordinate all that. And then at Tusculum, I mean, Poss was very hands off. He kind of just let me, do my thing and then make my mistakes. So I think that was a lot of help there too, because if you're not making mistakes, you're not really learning. But yeah, what was it? What was the second question?
What are some things you were not prepared for in the head job role?
Oh man, it's the meetings. It's the meetings.
Agreed. Agreed.
It's just meetings and meetings. It's like, oh my God, I just want to get on the floor. But no, it really is kind of it's how to communicate with administrators. Now they want you to talk to the president of the school and stuff like that, kind of how to when they say, oh, strength and conditioning, what is that? It's like, can you kind of portray it into something that they kind of know? And then like, I'll be honest, around our campus, I say I'm the head strength coach and they're like, what is that? Like, they don't even know that we have that. So I just kind of, how to kind of communicate with administrators, how to communicate with faculty and staff, and then how to establish a relationship with the school. So I wasn't really prepared for all that, but um, working through it now.
Yeah, yeah, and for me, especially, I agreed with Javi on that 100%, right? You know, when you have to go across campus and make talks, with the dining hall and try to, get and give and, try to negotiate a few things as far as, a training table for the kids and try to find out unique ways to do that. Maybe I wasn't 100% ready for that yet. But it's just the little things like that, right? And obviously the meetings all day, not fun. Sometimes you just want to be on the floor and coaching, but it's part of the gig, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I luckily don't have to be in many meetings myself, but I've heard from, I mean, you guys and a couple other people that I've worked with that that's definitely the worst part of stepping into that role is all the administrative like minutia, I guess, that you got to deal with.
Yeah.
No doubt.
So that kind of leads well into my next question, which would be, so I see you guys both do a really good job on social media, kind of like growing the brand of your department. Um, so what are some of your goals with how you use social media, and what are some things that you've seen result from your presence on social media?
Yeah, so for us, I mean, the biggest thing with our kids, right? I mean, first year with our program, we want to try to get our training philosophies, educational pieces into our kids' heads outside of what they're doing in the weight room with us or on the field with us, right? So Instagram is obviously a great way to do that, right? For this semester and down the road, it's like looking at for us, maybe putting some type of competitions or putting videos of them training. We get fly 10s on the kids. We rank, record, and publish, all of our speed work there. And then the kids start, talking a little smack to each other. We might have women's basketball talking smack to women's lacrosse, right? Because, especially now with all the COVID stuff going on and seasons canceled, I think that's going to be a really, really big tool for all of us to, start looking at, right? But, once again, for us, it's just looking at, getting our philosophy out there and branding it, making sure that, our kids see it as much as possible. And number three, just making sure we can get some type of competition or seeing kids, looking at how other kids are working hard and seeing results, right?
Awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I have a like an overarching goal with it. It's just, what do the, I mean, I'll talk with the kids a lot too. It's, what do they like to see? And then a lot of it too is like looking at our situation, what can we do to kind of help us out with that? Like, so for all the COVID stuff, when we were all sent home, well, we need to talk about nutrition. We need to talk about training. So we would do like, home cooking kind of thing. And then we would do like a Flex Friday kind of thing. So they have a workout. Now that we're back, we're probably going to do some like dorm room cooking kind of thing. And then we'll do, kind of, I think we're going to, we do have timers now. So we're probably going to do some flying tens, and we'll post that stuff too. But a lot of it is just showing the kids, that the training that they're doing, and then showing everyone else. They do like it. They do love it. They show their parents. They brag about it. Oh, I made the page, blah, blah, blah. But I don't really have like a goal, but more than just, showing the kids their training, and then trying to, show them the nutrition, the sleep, and then all that other stuff.
Yeah, very cool. I just to add to that, I ran the like Instagram social media stuff at Nova this past year. And something we noticed right off the bat when COVID hit was we'll send out like multiple emails a week to all the athletes, don't get a single response. Don't even know if they open them or read them. And then you post something on Instagram and you see, oh, they all liked it and they're all replying to the stories and stuff.
Yeah, no doubt.
It's crazy.
Yeah. And you guys been doing a really good job with that, man.
Thank you. I mean, you guys too. I think we all kind of started running out of ideas a little bit, trying to just push, and make everyone still feel connected in some sense. So yeah, it'll be good to get everyone back on campus. But I just think that's a very interesting part of like the student athlete lifestyle today is just the obsession with social media, and the coaches are like that too. Like if you look at like strength coach Twitter, like it's yeah, it definitely helps you connect a little bit more. So that's definitely a positive.
Yeah, and like it's like even like during training, like if I pull out my phone and I say, "All right, now do it for the gram," now all of a sudden it's like a perfect rep. It's like, where has that been?
Yeah.
So like it's definitely a tool. It's a powerful tool, and it can help you if you use it the right way, obviously.
No doubt. Agreed.
Yeah, for sure. So kind of winding down on the questions here. We got a couple more. What is the culture that you're trying to implement at your new spot? Like what are your goals in terms of the way you want the weight room to be run and the athletes' expectations and everything, and how did you go about implementing your culture once you got there?
So for us, the biggest thing, and with a lot of these kids, and just with my experience being at different programs and seeing, how kids respond to, the idea of culture, right, and developing it, right. The biggest thing is, when you first get the kids, you have to talk about elite and average habits, right, and what that looks like, all right. And you have to talk about it consistently and show them and reward kids that do it the right way, and maybe pull some kids aside that aren't doing it the right way and talk to them, right? And then, for us, that kind of digs into our vision and our mission and how we're going to go about it, right? And so now we have a plan of, how we can look at ourselves individually and as a team and move forward with that process, right? So for me, it always just starts with like, hey, what does elite versus average look like? All right. What's our why as a team? And, we share that with our head coaches. I ask all of our teams, what's your why individually? Why do you play your sport? And that kind of starts the conversation for us on that end. But, you know, from more of a cultural standpoint in the weight room, like I said, we share the room with rec. One of the unique things also with us is we actually have some plans of doing a complete overhaul of the room where we'll be able to have a lot more rack spaces, a better setup and more efficient setup for us to train bigger teams and whatnot. So with that and with the staffing, you know, all those things mesh together in a sense of how you run your program, right? You know, but for us, I mean, I think it just always starts with elite versus average habits and talk about those things. And you do that with your staff too. I mean, we did that. I mean, it was only me and our intern in the spring, but we sat down and we talked about it. You know, what does it look like for coaching? What does it look like for, you know, professional development, right? So, you know, that's what we've been doing. And I think the more people you can get involved, especially with sports coaches and their assistants, I think the better it'll be because they'll be able to fit it for their own team, you know, and you're able to see that as well and be a part of that process, which is huge.
Yeah. I mean, so for us, we really try and hammer down the process, the day-to-day rep to rep process. It's, you know, especially now with all of this going on, with competitions getting canceled, we can kind of hammer that a little bit more. Like, hey guys, like the training time is more than your competition time now. So you need to buy into the process. You know, one thing that we always ask them is, you know, is what you say you want versus what you say you do on a day-to-day rep to rep basis, you know, are they in alignment? All right. That is something that we always ask them, because, you know, some of them will say, oh, you know, I wanted to compete. I wanted to compete. Well, you know, were you doing the right things? Were you staying home? Were you wearing a mask? Were you social distancing? Were you doing all that stuff? Or were you just out there, you know, flimsy, flamsy, freaking partying it up in a pool party? All right. So we always try and hammer away at, you know, what you say you want versus what you do. And then everything else is just, you know, discipline. Obviously, we want discipline. Can you show up on time? For us, it's 5 minutes early, dressed and ready to go. Can you wear the right gear? That was a big issue here, is wearing the correct gear. We look like a high school team, to be honest. It was driving me nuts. And can you come in with a little bit of enthusiasm? You know, like, can you get excited about training with your friends? Can you get excited about being with your team? You know, I'll put on a little freaking rap music for you, and, you know, have fun. That really, that's, you know, I try and keep it simple. You know, trying to hammer away at the process. And then, can you be disciplined in your approach? And then, you know, can you have some enthusiasm with you? Because, I mean, let's just be real. Like, this shit's fun.
Yeah, I like that a lot, from what both you guys said. So it's a Saturday morning, so I don't want to take up your rest of your weekend. So we'll end on this last question. What is a piece of advice that you would give for any young intern or GA or maybe entry level assistant position that's looking to make the next step into being the head strength coach at a school and directing their own program?
You know, for me, it's reverse engineer the career path, right? We're asked to, you know, that's kind of a hot word right now, with reverse engineer the sport demands and go from there, which is absolutely true, right? But reverse engineer your career path and understand what it takes to get to those next steps, right? That means reaching out to people, you know, getting to learn more about people's backgrounds individually in those positions, and, you know, figure it out from that standpoint. You know, and also don't, and I made this mistake so many times, but don't get caught in the trap of trying to do too many things at once. All right. Understand it's going to take time. So focus on that one goal. All right. And then move on to the next. All right. Be great in the moment now, and then get to the next step. Right. You know, that's my biggest advice, you know, for, people getting into the profession.
I mean, Mine would be if so, like in your undergraduate, I would, and I think the colleges are, they're failing the kids because, they're telling them to do their internships in their, in their senior junior year. If I did my internships when I was a sophomore. I started when I was a sophomore. So my biggest piece of advice, and I tell everyone this, is do your free internships, unpaid, do all that stuff when you're in undergraduate program. I would start in my sophomore year. So by the time you graduate, now you have the experience, you have your degree, you have your certification. Now you're graduated and you can go into those more maybe paid positions, with the GAs or an assistant coach. You got to find a good internship. You got to find a good mentor. I was blessed enough to do mine with Coach K. I do consider him a mentor, even though he might not consider me a mentee, but that's all right. Yeah, I mean, it's all about your experience, and then can you find a good mentor to kind of guide you and help you out. I mean, I'm pretty sure I got this job. One was from the internship that I did with Mitch Roney, which he was the guy that had this job previous to me, and then Coach K helped me out a little bit too. So that was all in my first internship, like establish those relationships, and now I'm reaping the benefits. So do your unpaid work early, and then watch yourself grow from there.
Couldn't agree more, man. I mean, I was in the same boat. I mean, my sophomore year of college is when I got in with Matt Nine, and just been working since, man, because a lot of people, like, and some people do start late and do get positions. All right. I'm not saying that you can't do that, but I mean, the earlier the better, because you have so much time to grow and see things, and go be a part of different situations, which is going to make you a better coach, right? But I couldn't agree more with that.
All right, guys. Thanks for all the advice you've given. I think whoever listens to this will get a lot out of it. I learned a lot just from listening to you guys. It was good to catch up. We should do this again sometime, but thanks for being on.
Yeah, baby.
Thanks, Ryan. You're doing
Yeah.
a great job, man. I appreciate you.
Thank you. Before we actually end here, where can people reach you or your department if they have questions or want to connect?
So for us, I mean, you can always reach our Instagram page, Lycoming_strength. You can always, my contact info is on our website. Send me an email. I do a pretty good job of responding on there. But yeah, that's pretty much it for me there.
Yeah, we're on the gram too, at FPU Strength. And I don't know my Twitter handle, but if you just put FPU, or maybe it's Hobby, it's somewhere around there. No, that wasn't a lot of help. And then email is Ramirez J at franklinpierce.edu. I am not on the website yet, so maybe when
All right, guys. Thanks again. Have a great weekend.
Thanks, Ryan. You too, man.
All right, big guy.
See ya.
Thank you.